Hi, everybody, and welcome to USAC. Today, we're going to be talking with Craig about issues concerning the United States, South Africa, China, the U.S. border, and North Korea, and even Iran. So we've got a lot to discuss today with Craig. So, Craig, welcome today.
Yeah, welcome, everybody. Sorry I've been gone for a bit. Just been busy doing some research and some history, which will be a TV show very soon.
Craig, we're going to get right to it today. I know you're deeply concerned over the border situation in the U.S. With Mexico. Talk to us a little bit about that and what's going on there.
Well, let me put it to you like this. One step into the United States, one step over the border into the United States is a federal offense. However, it's a misdemeanor. So therefore, it continues to perpetuate the problem instead of the Congress and the Senate dealing with this issue by making it a fully fledged third-degree felony. The problem will be resolved very easily. It'll slow down this migration of immigration due to the fact that once you have a federal offense, a fully fledged federal offense, you can never, ever be a U.S. citizen.
So your solution to this would be that make it a full-fledged felony, not a misdemeanor, in the United States. So you would be a U.S. felon, and then you would never, ever be able to come into the nation as a legal immigrant. Is that what I'm?
Yes, because once you've been convicted of a federal offense, you can never be a citizen of the United States. However, what's been happening is they've made it a misdemeanor, and these people are repeated misdemeanors. And
now, predominantly, you're talking about the illegal immigrants coming across the Mexican border.
Yes. So look, they're violating our civil rights, our laws by stepping into the United States illegally. And the ones that are coming to the border control and asking for asylum, they have legal rights under the Constitution and the laws right now to be processed and put into these things. The problem is Obama put in place where the children were separated from the parents because a lot of these are mules. Parents are sending their children with mules to the border as parents, and yet that is what's happening. Is what happened is Obama built all these holding areas that are cages. Trump inherited this mess, and now typical Democrats are blaming Trump. Look, he's doing the best he can, and with the number of people that are coming, millions are hitting the border. They overextended. He's having to send the military in to address this problem. However, don't come to America if you're not happy with what you've got. What's going to happen to you? Don't blame
come in legally, right?
Do not come here. Don't come to the border crying for asylum when you know your children are going to be separated from you. You're going to go into cages or whatever the holding area is, and you'll be put in cots for days until they separate the parents out and then process the system. Now, the system is broke all over the United States. And now when you're dealing with thousands and thousands and thousands of immigrants coming across the border, obviously. Also, the 9th District Court in California, obviously, have now blocked the president's bid to build the wall with military funds. This will be overturned after an appeal, after another appeal with the Supreme Court of the United States. And back we go again, and another idiot from the 9th Circuit of Courts, which is this liberal nonsense that's going on with the Democrats. Now the Democrats are saying that they want a census where there's no reference to are you a citizen or not. They also want people to get driver's licenses, and hence with a driver's license, you're given a temporary social security number.
Now, Craig, you're not saying this to the people from South Africa because they're coming the right way and they're coming through the legal processes. So I want to just clarify here that you are speaking to the Mexicans and to the Hispanics that are crossing the border illegally and flooding these detention centers.
It's not only the Mexicans, even the Mexicans are sick of it now too. The Mexican citizens are sick of these people coming across their land in towards America from South America. They don't want them there either because they're affecting the border system. They're affecting trade between the United States and Mexico. This is El Salvador, South America, south part of Honduras, those areas, right? Also, right. You've got Al-Qaeda members, ISIS members coming across that border, paying mules to bring them. They just caught a whole group of them the other day. We cannot ignore these security systems. We cannot ignore these security threats. These are huge problems for the United States. Now, of the South Africans coming to the United States, if you get a visa, if you get to the States, the minute you land, filed for asylum.
I disagree, Craig. Our immigration attorneys are telling us not to do that. When you're coming in on a B1, B2 visa, you have a 6-month period of time. You need to get your ducks in a row and file correctly. Do not step foot inside the U.S. Grounds. I'm sure that's not what you meant. Step foot inside the U.S. grounds and then declare asylum. What you want to do is you want to get here. You want to get your feet on the ground, get yourself situated, and then through the legal process with an attorney representing you, file for asylum. You have 6 months.
Yeah, what I mean is they shouldn't just do it illegally.
Right.
Don't come here and jump the fence and then just say, "Hey, I'm here now. I'm going to file," because you're basically doing what the rest of them are doing, and that's not what we want. We want our guys to be squeaky clean.
And one of the things that is working well, because I'm working with the immigration services with multiple families right now that we're assisting, and they are awarding the people that are doing it the right way. So the people that are doing it wrong, jumping the fences, crossing the border, declaring asylum the minute they step foot in, the U.S. government is not looking kindly upon them. So the ones that are doing it the right way get here on that B1, B2 visa, and then, or maybe on an H1 or H1A visa, and then you can get a change of status visa. So there's a lot of ways to do it.
Yeah. Canada now is taking on people as well, but there's a bunch of programs that they have that they will take people on, and they've dropped the point system to lower than it was ever before. They need skilled labor, skilled doctors, teachers, tradesmen. They want them. There's towns that are going dead. They're becoming ghost towns because people are leaving. Now South Africans are very ambitious, active people. They know how to build things, so it'll be a good place for them to go. Now, there's lots that do not want to leave, and I don't encourage you to leave, and I don't encourage you to stay. It's up to you. But what I'm saying is, here in the United States, please just do it legally, so we don't create a problem we don't need. Having said that, with our biggest problem now is we have so many illegals in the country that our Democrats are basically saying that they want to give them free medical insurance and free education and free this and free the next thing, give them driver's licenses with social security numbers, which allows them to vote illegally as non-citizens. And as far as I'm concerned, that is treason. That's treasonous as far as I'm concerned. Because what you're doing is you're violating the United States Constitution by allowing illegals into the country. And they talk about Russian collusion. When you're trying to subvert the vote by using illegals to subvert it, it's almost laughable. Just listening to the rhetoric when they proved that there was no Russian collusion, and then it was like, oh, he's obstructing now. So it's like a never-ending spiral of nonsense when we got stuff we got to work on, and they won't work on these issues with illegal immigration because they're trying to get the vote. Listen, if power is the only solution to your problem, then we're wasting our time with these people. Any person that advocates this kind of illegal system of trying to govern, they should be arrested, investigated for something. Somebody's paying these people to come up with ideas where it's okay to give an illegal social security number and allow them to vote because they don't want us to show ID. So therefore, what is the end game? What are they trying to do? Subvert the vote? That's exactly a collusion. That's the same rhetoric they used on Russian collusion. They actually have been openly honest about it. So if there should be some the DOJ needs to take these people to account.
So, Craig, is it fair to say that as the election ramps up, that immigration is going to be, again, in this presidential election, immigration is going to be a hot topic?
Well, I about fell off my chair. They asked them all.
Okay, so let's talk the presidential election, and I know you've got plenty to say about that.
Oh my God, the featherless one, Warren, what's her name? Elizabeth Warren. The feather fell off when the DNA came back, but okay, she's.
You're going to have to tell that story for your viewers who don't understand what you're talking about.
Elizabeth Warren got a grant, a educational grant, to go to university under the pretext that she was a Native American, and for years she's been talking about powwow. Whoa, 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 whoa. My ancestors were Native Americans. They did a DNA test on her. She is probably 1/1,000,000th of a times 20 not Native American any way, shape, or form. And yet she's still in parliament, still in this doing politics with no embarrassment at all. She hasn't paid back all the money that she got on the grant that she got based on the Native American thing. The last question that was asked in this last debate was, would you give all illegal aliens or illegal immigrants free medical insurance? 100% of them put their hands up. Well, that tells me something. The citizens of the United States are fined during the tax year for not having medical insurance. We are governmentally forced to buy medical insurance because of Obama, which is a Democrat. These Democrats are not saying the citizens of the United States do not matter, illegals do.
So you're like me. We think it's absolutely ridiculous that now they want to give away insurance, but they want to force us to have it and pay a fine if we don't have it.
Exactly.
Again, a way to influence the upcoming election.
Here's the thing that doesn't make sense at all, period. If an average family is paying $1,400 a month in insurance a year, that's almost $20,000 a year. The deduction for each member of the family is $5,000. The insurance companies won't pay a cent of what you're paying in until that $25,000 is out of the way. Because most people never spend $5,000. If in some cases you're getting it for maybe $1,000 or $1,500, but you're paying far, far more for your subscription.
So let's talk a little bit more about the presidential election. Besides the medical insurance, what is your thoughts on the upcoming presidential election? Who's going to emerge the front runner on the Democratic side? Well,
let me put it to you. Biden today or yesterday said, "Oh, he can't believe this Russian collusion and what." I don't think this gentleman's okay in the head because he just says off the cuff stuff. He's always doing it. Oh, sneaky Joe. Now, he was in power when this was going on. Him and Obama. During his time, there was supposed to be Russian collusion. The only Russian collusion there was Hillary Clinton was given permission by Obama and Biden to sell 50% of the United States uranium to a Russian company. The dossier that came for the Pfizer report and the Pfizer investigation on Trump came directly from the Hillary Clinton Foundation, was paid for by an ex-British MI6/CIA agent, double agent, who's now freelancing, who conjured up some story and sold it so that they could come up with a story for these Pfizer reports. Comey and the rest of them were all in cahoots with this mess. The investigators for the FBI were deliberately texting each other back and forth saying, don't worry, we'll get him some way or somehow, get him out, right?
Mm-hmm.
No wonder Clinton almost had to go to hospital after the elections. She couldn't believe that she didn't steal the election. It didn't work. She was absolutely blown away. Well, here's the thing. They accused Trump of spying on the DNC, but what's his name? Chuck Schumer's email address or email account was shouted across the room every day. Hey, what's the password? Password? No, what's the password? Yes, the password is password. Come on, guy, that's the oldest trick in the book. Everybody knows that. It's either 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or it's password.
Okay, Craig, I think we're I got to keep you on time today. Got to keep you on time today. Data is important to your viewers. So let's talk about the economy for a minute.
Okay, the economy in the United States is booming, literally booming. Not enough tradesmen, not enough people to cope with the amount of work that is going on here. Endless job reports. We have the lowest unemployment since before the Depression. It was just unprecedented in the history of the United States. The economy is exploding, basically because of the trade deals that are going on between the United States and all the rest of the world. Trump put his foot down. He said, you've been taking and taking and taking and taking. We're done with the taking. It's time to share this mess. And you don't take it all, but we give and take 50-50. Otherwise, it don't work. This is supposed to benefit both countries and not one-sided like it was for NAFTA. That's
We've got a comment right here. I think she was talking about when we were talking about the presidential election, but yes, not everybody understands the magnitude of the problems we have in this country. We may not have the rampant violence and the killing off of the eradication of a race, or what we would tend to call ethnic cleansing, but we do have a lot of problems over here.
Okay, so yeah, in the States, most people don't realize there's a political, the Democratic Party, in my opinion, is based on two things: give everything for free and talk racism. They have no solutions, absolutely none. Every single city and every single state that they have run is a mess. It's corrupt, and it's in financial ruin. Every single one.
If you were to liken the Democratic Party to a party over in South Africa, which one would you compare it to?
ANC.
And there you have it, folks.
Yeah, it's communism.
Okay.
It's communism. Take from the rich, give to the poor, and not forget that when the rich don't have any money, whose money are you going to steal to give to the poor?
So let's move right ahead because you do have some other questions that I'm going to put up here a little bit later. But let's talk about China and South Africa and Ramaphosa.
Okay, so the G20 meeting summit that they had the other day, Trump went after China. You got to realize China has no loyalties to anyone throughout the world. They do not care. They have an economy that is like a feeding. They have people that are like a feeding frenzy. They have millions and millions of people. They have to educate them, feed them, employ them, and give them a job. They need fuel. Every commodity in the world's got to go. China wants it all because they need it. But who's supplying them the money to feed this animal? The United States. Trump knows that. So does China. We don't need China. We can go to other countries like South Africa. We can go to many other countries just like South Africa, everywhere else in the world, and get those same commodities by dealing with them with better trade deals. And China's starting to realize that they are not the big chief anymore because we put our foot down. We're not playing their game of mirrors. So Ramaphosa piped up and said, well, we're not scared of America. Well, you better be, buddy. Because if they put sanctions on South Africa is done. You will not have oil. You will not have any trade. China, you don't realize, is part of the security thing in the UN. And once they put sanctions on South Africa, China will pull out. They'll have to pull out. They can't trade with you no more. Doesn't matter what you say. Also, South Africa is violating the embargoes on Iran as well. They're not listening, and they're stepping into trouble because they're still trading with Iran, and this needs to be investigated.
So we have a viewer right now asking what we think about the Dutch Parliament's decision to investigate the taking of land by South Africa.
And you know, William Pelser, I want to congratulate you for talking to that guy a couple of times and getting to him. At least he listened. And that's what we've been saying all along. We don't care who you are, where you came from, bring the wealth. It doesn't matter how you do it, how we do it. Just everybody has a role to play, and he did a great job. He managed to talk to this guy a couple of times. He filed that thing in their parliament, and they agreed to take it on. Great news. Great news. One country at a time, one person at a time, we can win this thing. Exactly what happened to the ANC back in the day, where they got all this support from overseas. Now, what the ANC does forget is it was the whites that assisted the ANC coming to power. It'll be the whites that will take them out of power. They don't realize that. And they keep biting the hand that feeds them. The world is a small place. And if they think China is going to solve their problems, they're not. China will literally take over the country financially, that they will have no control.
We have a comment here about, I'm from South Africa and the whites are killed every minute. Stop speaking. And if you want to do something, come help us. You know, we get that a lot. A lot of times people don't understand what Craig and I really do. We don't sit in our cushy little houses and in front of our cameras and make videos. We are active on behalf of South Africa around the clock. I don't know when I've slept a full night through since I've started this gig of trying to speak out and be an advocate for South Africa. But we make deals with people. We're talking to officials at all times, seeking intervention and seeking assistance for South Africa. What's your thoughts on this, Craig?
That's actually kind of insulting for me. I take offense because of the amount of work we've put in for the last 2 years to bring around USAC and assisting so many people in this endeavor and getting this message out to everybody. And you know, and what am I going to do then? I'll be just tied down just like the rest of them. We can't
Yeah.
help you.
Let's talk about that for a minute.
Here's the thing that irritates me is that everybody thinks that we're going to solve their problems, but none of them will step up to the plate and do anything themselves. None of them. There's only a few people that are doing it, like Willie Jordan with the Survivor Group and all these others, right? And I know of all the other guys under the ground that can't talk. And we can't tell you a lot of stuff that we're doing. Now, me coming there, the only time I come there will be for one reason only. And that I will never tell you on this TV. All I will tell you is there's a lot of work going on behind the scenes that nobody knows. We tell you what's going on outside because that's the way we do this.
So let's talk for just a minute. Let me explain something to our viewers. First of all, we love each and every one of you very much. And you are heavy on our heart all the time. There are many times Craig and I are on the phone talking about what else we can do, coming up with other programs and solutions for you. A lot of time, a lot of thought, a lot of effort, a lot of money goes into what we do for you. And we've never asked anyone in South Africa for a dime for the work that we do. So let's just put that to rest. But, you know, Craig, a lot of people want you to come over there. They want you to come and bring an army. They want you to come and fight this war. And I don't think that they're thinking it through, that if you were to come and do such a thing, you would be considered a terrorist organization. And
I've been already told I won't make it out the airport.
Right. So bringing the world and
I'm already marked. There's no way I can get there. And if I did get there, I would never make it out the airport. I'd be arrested. It's the same as Kate, what's her name? Hopkins? Oh,
Katie Hopkins.
Katie Hopkins. She's just been banned from South Africa too. She's just been banned. And so we're stuck between a rock and a hard place in that direction. But the problem for me is, what's the point of me going there and doing what? Being followed every day by the government, controlled, tied down, can't do nothing, just like they can. My deal is to bring the world, like I said before. And I wasn't going to talk about this today. I was going to talk about America's situation. But we need every single leader in the world, just like this Dutch thing. That's one country. Now, I can tell you for a fact, and I'm getting this from politicians that I know, Trump knows what's going on. He's well aware of the situation. There's a battle group that moves up and down the Atlantic coast all the time. In the Atlantic. They are there, believe me, if something goes wrong. So, I don't want to go to that thing right now, but USAC was formed for the United African Coalition to bring the world to South Africa based on genocide and ethnic cleansing. And basically, that's exactly what we're going to do. And that's how we're working this together.
Here's a comment. We are proud of Willie Jordan and the Project Survivor, South Africa. Both Craig and I are supporting that project. Now, this is another platform to get the word out there to a bigger audience. Now, I will tell you this right now. Many of you are aware of the My Turn book written by Alice VL from South Africa, who is now living in the United States. I am seeing a rise in the sales of My Turn, Waiting to be Murdered in South Africa, by people in the United States. That tells me that's a good sign, because now people in the United States are starting to want to know more about what is really going on in South Africa. So little by little, you know, the word is getting out there. The TV network that we're going to be doing, Craig will be hosting a show called Out of South Africa. And now the purpose of that show is to educate the rest of the world about the history of South Africa, how we got to where we are, and how we move forward. We're going to have to educate some people.
If there's any historians out there, South African historians, black and white, I would like your opinions. I would like your information. I would like all the copies of all the treaties going back from the 16th century to the present constitution, any changes in the constitution, any lawyers out there that are constitutional lawyers that have any information, please send it to me. Because once I put this thing together, I don't want to be coming off as somebody that doesn't know what I'm talking about. I want to have facts. There's treaties out there. They were written by the kings of Zulus, Xhosas, Vendas, and Sutus. And I want these treaties, and I want to prove to the world and the history of the Khoisan and the Khoi and the San, and of all the Nguni tribes coming north, the Zulus, and of all the Dutch settlers, the East India Company, the Dutch East India Company didn't last very long. And they collapsed, leaving this whole group of people there. This is the history of South Africa is not going to be narrated by the ANC to steal land and cause human rights violations. It's not going to happen. It'll be their downfall. And anyway.
So part of the process and part of the plan is to educate the world so that the world can support the right agenda in moving forward for South Africa.
Yeah,
but
no more
the main
political rhetoric that changes the narrative to suit the victor. When the victor's lying and causing human rights violations, it's no more. I posted a video today on Twitter of Mandela stating, if we cannot get what we want, and this was, we will revert to violence. That was his words, and they gave him a Nobel Peace Prize. What is happening today? Exactly the same thing. We can't get what we want, legally or not, we will revert to violence. And that needs to be stopped.
Here's another good question for you. What are your thoughts on President Ramaphosa refusing that there's farm murders in South Africa?
It's absolute, utter, blatant lie. It's part of the rhetoric to systematically continue with the Zimbabwean situation. The same system is being applied. What they are doing is systematically attacking the farms to force the farmers off the land. Now, if you notice, and if everybody read the history in the last bit of news that happened last year, that the Rhodesian farmers were given back their farms and paid restitution because they did not leave their farms. They were forced off their farms. Now, if you abandon your land, they have legal right to it. You must not leave your farms. You need to be on the farm, no matter what happens. Stay there.
Here's an answer to your one of your things. Jason Savage says that William Steenkamp is a historian. He wrote a book, a great book on information that may be helpful to you. So we will definitely be pulling up that book and getting it. It's okay, Craig. I've got it in the comments. You'll be able to pull the book up.
Okay.
And I'm seeing a few comments here about people. Yes, we understand you're scared. We understand you're scared, and a lot of time your fear is what is dictating you say, come over here, get over here right now. We understand that. Craig and I both understand that. We would probably be screaming more than you are if we were in that situation. I do want to tell you, one of my followers today sent me a message in WhatsApp, and he told me that his dear mother, who was very young, it was in her 50s, an intruder jumped over the fence of their property last night in the middle of the night, morning, and was outside the bedroom window, and his mother literally was frightened to death. She had a massive heart attack and died in the early morning hours because she could only imagine what was getting ready to happen to her when she noticed that there was an intruder outside. They did capture the man and they held him there. Still at this moment, the police have not arrived to retrieve the intruder. The security forces did come, but we understand the level of fear that you are going through. And we understand it's a real thing.
So going back to United States situation, with this North Korea situation too, Trump was at this G20 summit, and diplomatically, most people cannot get through to North Korea. With a tweet, Trump was able to cross into North Korea as the first actual president of the United States in the history of the United States to walk into North Korea. not ex-presidents, but president. And he talked to the man and walked out. Unprecedented.
So explain to us why that is so important, Craig.
Diplomacy is to tell somebody to go to hell in such a way that they enjoy the trip. Now, we can do it. It's like telling somebody to clean the toilet. You tell them, just go clean the toilet, or you ask them nicely. You have a problem with North Korea, and I'm putting this in blunt terms, because you have a problem with North Korea. They are a danger unto themselves. I don't think Kim Jong-un wants this situation to continue. He knows his country's in a mess. He knows it's not going to sustain itself long enough to continue this way. He has to still save face. It's the Asian way. So by saving face, he has to slowly implement change. Nobody likes change overnight. He's also scared of his future. Slowly but surely, I will guarantee you that North Korea and South Korea will unify into one nation. It may not be in the next 5 years, but I see it in the next 10 years being back to normal as a Korea, not North Korea and South Korea. But I think Trump will get this right. And by doing what he's doing, his way of diplomacy freaks people out, because it's not all about pomp and ceremony. It's about getting the job done. He's a businessman. Look, the guy says some crazy stuff. I believe that that's the case. I do believe that there will be a conflict between Iran and the United States. I do believe that will happen. The Iranians do not want to stop what they are doing. They have these mullahs that actually honestly believe that they can do what they want to do. Listen, Iran is a facade. They've always been a facade. It's like in Iraq. If you went to look at Saddam Hussein's, and I was there long enough to see, most of his palaces were facades. There was a framework on the inside, and the rest was stucco on the outside. It wasn't real rock. It wasn't real mosaics and fancy designs and stuff. It was all just plaster and framework. It wasn't real. None of it was. If you went into the palaces, some of it was hard ground, and the rest of it was all just flash. It's the same with the military there. It was all just flash. They didn't have what they say they have. Now, Iran keeps pushing and pushing and pushing. I have no idea how powerful the United States military is. They do not understand the technology that they have. United States is just sitting there waiting. Listen, he could have pulled the trigger the other day, and he pulled back, and he's giving them the opportunity to back off. They don't want it. They keep pushing and saying things and taking off. It's going to happen. And sooner or later, it's a powder keg right now. I see it going to here again. I dislike the Democratic Party due to the fact that Obama gave the Iranian government billions and billions and billions of dollars of U.S. tax money just before he left. And I asked the question, why? And that same money is killing our soldiers. I was in Iraq for 8 years. The pattern numbers on every Katyusha rocket that hit the ground, and I did thousands and thousands and thousands of incident reports, had that year's pattern numbers from Iran. These were supplied by Iran, mortars and rockets coming directly from Iran, manufactured in Iran. The shape charges that we were finding that were killing our soldiers, Iran.
Craig, let's talk for a minute. I want to back up a little bit, and I want to get back to Ramaphosa for a minute. Recently, Ramaphosa made a statement about the U.S. being jealous of him and his government. Go ahead, have at that one.
Look, take South Africa and you can put it into Utah and Idaho together, and it'll still have space over. That's how big the United States is compared to South Africa. So he's being really silly. Just in about 4 states, there's more people in that 4 states than there is in the whole of South Africa. Why would he be jealous of a man that's just a terrorist criminal? If Ramaphosa honestly believes that China is going to bail him out, if the United States goes against South Africa, he's sorely mistaken, because China is on the Security
Council.
Yes, or council in the UN, and if sanctions are in place on South Africa for the genocide and the ethnic cleansing that's going on there, and now with the rhetoric of all these documents that are coming out that, oh, you can, we take applications for only whites, coloreds, Indians, and black people. That is racism. That is pure apartheid. Now look, more than almost
26.
1990, when they abandoned apartheid, before Mandela came out of jail. You got to realize apartheid was removed so it would never be put back in place. That was part of the deal.
So what we're seeing now is a reverse apartheid.
Blatant. It's actually worse than that apartheid before, because now they're actually denying you a job. Whereas before, it was never written on documents. It was an unwritten law. Black people weren't going to get that position. So here's the thing: the way the ANC, and it's the same with sport, it's the same with everything, it's the same with the BEE laws, where they are demanding 50% of your company. For a man to sit in your company, doesn't know a thing about your company, has no added effort to even try and make the company work, other than take the money. He has no incentive to make the company work other than be the boss, right? Because of the color of the skin, it's racism. It's straightforward, plain racism. And Ramaphosa is running around telling people to speak. He wants all the people to speak English.
True. That's an oxymoron if I ever heard one myself. I want to comment a little bit. I want to touch on a couple of comments that we've got here. We've got several people that says, what happens to those of us who can't afford to pay to get out? You know, there is somewhat of a mass exodus trying to take place over there in South Africa. People are wanting out. They see that the future is bleak. They do not have the funds available. Craig, how long do you think it is before a country opens up their door and declares a true genocide, which is something we've been pushing for? Because once genocide is declared, the nations have to open up their doors. They have to provide assistance to people seeking to leave the area. How long? How far away are we from that?
I'm hoping as soon as possible, because the situation is tenuous right now. I honestly believe that if Ramaphosa keeps pushing this rhetoric with Malema is deliberately, blatantly, openly saying kill the farmers now. There's no limits on him. Government's doing nothing. Crime is completely out of control. They've lost control of the country. The Andile Masutama from Black Lives First, whatever, Backland First, he's already said they got training camps now to go train to start a revolution, and still nothing has been said. This is deliberate government. This is deliberate government fear mongering, and it's also inciting people to do wrongdoing. They want the farmers off the land. That's basically the whole purpose. They can't legally throw you off, because legally they have no rights to it. But they can force you off by terrorizing the people, murdering, raping, putting these people in fear. And once they have got you off the land, they've got legal rights to take it, because you're now not using the land. Now the state has come up with, oh, we're going to start dividing up the state land, which is 75% of the state land of of South Africa is owned by the government, ANC. They own the land, all of it. So now what they have to do is actually divvy that land up. But they're not even taking applications from anybody. They're just taking applications from certain people.
Yeah, we're seeing more and more reports, Craig, of the police joining in these little crime sprees and attacking. And again, we're seeing more and more reports of police weapons, bulletproof vest, jamming devices, military grade equipment on the scenes of these crimes. I'm just going to go out on a limb and I'm going to tell you, people, defend yourself. When it's all said and done, defend yourself. I'm not advocating for a war or a conflict, but if somebody shows up on your property, you defend yourself. And,
I'm the same. I can't tell you what to do, but if it was me, shoot a lot of them.
Yeah, defend yourself. When you start fighting back, they'll stop coming.
They can't.
They're scared.
They can't put all these people in jail. They can't put 1 million people in jail. I'm telling you, every single person, if somebody's trying to hijack you, lock your doors and ram their cars. Do you want your children raped or your wife raped or you shot? Just ram them. Get in your car, just ram them. Ram them with your cars. You got a knife in the kiss, stab them. If I was you, I would have long poles in your houses with assegais on them or knives on them. And as soon as they stick their hands through the burglar guards, chop them off. Just do whatever.
Get creative.
Just get creative. Start fighting back. Make them think twice before they come into your homes. Don't be a victim anymore. Make them realize that they're going to pay for every damn inch that there is. Make them pay. No more standing back and saying, oh, you think the law is going to help you. The law is not helping you anymore. Ramaphosa is basically calling you all liars and racists, and yet he doesn't take into account that for 30-year-olds today who grew up under black rule, not white rule, and therefore he has got no say. What's happening to the kids that grew up under ANC rule, not apartheid? And don't give me this nonsense about white privilege. I grew up in Africa. I wasn't given anything.
Yes, we understand that there are rules against defending yourself. However, you have to understand that when the nations start getting the reports of all of you being arrested for defending yourself, that's going to escalate the intervention. That's going to show another element of the genocide. So we believe that it will all come out in the wash when all is said and done. But the main thing is your lives are important. I want to remind you of your heritage and your history, that you are the Boers, you are the Afrikaans, and you are tough, resilient people. Fight.
And I'm going to tell you something else. If they put Steve Hofmeyr in jail, he will become the next Mandela. They do not realize what they will do. They will make him a martyr.
Yeah, that would be the most foolish thing they could do, is to really hammer him anymore.
Yeah, they will be their downfall. They are being silly. It's easy to start laughing. There was an old man who stood up in a crowd the other day and explained the treaty that he had in his hand for 100 cows, that they bought the land from the king of the Swazis. And the whole crowd started laughing. Thought it was funny. But what's not funny is legal law, historical law. And therefore, in international court, and believe me, these people will face human rights violations. In the end, you can have as much money as you like. You ain't taking it to God.
If you try to defend yourself, you get charged with murder. Here's another one. Use fire. We get it. Here's another one. We are now so small a minority. Most of the rich have already left. You don't need the rich. You just need the strong. You just need the people that are willing to fight. You need people with a backbone that will stand up and stand out. And, I like the little comment here, use fire. I just envisioned like a blowtorch and somebody coming through a burglar bar and you put a blowtorch in their face. They're scarred for life. They're done. Their life is over. And you can certainly tell who your attacker was.
Hey, listen. I don't know where that weapon came from. When I knocked it out of his hand, the others were there, and I picked it up, and it went off.
Yeah,
Well,
you got to. We
you
used to have a
have to,
show in America called Smarter Than a Fifth Grader, and that's what we're going to have to do here in South Africa, get smarter than a fifth grader. The one thing you have going for yourself, Afrikaans, is you are smarter than the majority there.
listen, guys. The Anglo-Boer War, the British Army sent 500,000 soldiers against a few thousand farmers. 500,000 soldiers, highly trained soldiers, and they couldn't beat them. They had to round up their women and children and old people, starve them to death. That
To cripple them.
Over 36,000 white people died in concentration camps of all kinds of diseases and whatever before they stopped them. That's less than the whole entire time between 1948 till 1994 for apartheid, which was 21,000 people died in that conflict. They killed more women and children now during the time of the Anglo-Boer War. Now, a small group of farmers on horses took the whole entire British army to their knees. They could not beat them. They could not find them. They could not trick them. They could not do nothing. Even when they tied the railways down, the roads down, everything, could not find them. So the masses think that it's okay to just take. But after a while, that taking is going to bite them back. And that's what you have to do. Start making them pay for everything they touch. If they try and hijack your car, ram them. If they put their hand through your burglar guards, chop them off. If they try and get through the burglar guards, take a bar or a stick or something, tie something on it, and stick them through the window. Don't be a victim.
I want to comment here on this. Okay, so what you see here is another level of fear. We get all of these comments here that are saying, oh, they'll arrest us. Oh, you'll go to jail for murder. I get it. So that's another way that the government and the EFF and the BLF and the ANC are all trying to rule you with fear.
Yeah.
Fear is the biggest weapon that they're using against you. And I'm going to tell you this right now. You all know my story. I've been very blatant and open with it. I survived 30 years in prison for a murder I didn't commit. In the United States, 99% of the prison population is Black. There are very few whites in the prisons, and most of them come out of the inner cities and the gangs, and it is a hardcore people that I lived with for 30 years, and if I can survive it, you can too. I'm not saying put yourself in a position to end up in prison, but you don't have to fear prison. You can survive it and come out of it if it happens. I did.
Let me tell you guys something. They cannot put all of you in jail. And our campaigns outside are going to be hammering them and hammering them and hammering them. We're winning. We already got the Dutch Parliament talking. We've got the United States government is not stupid. I've sent enough information through all military channels, FBI channels, CIA channels, and it up through politicians. We've been sending and sending. So they've all got this information. We're bombarding the internet with images, Twitter, you name it. It's out there. Every video you can think of coming out of South Africa is on YouTube, and it's getting bombarded out there. Listen, every intelligence group in the world's watching what's happening because it's a powder cake about to happen. Now Ramaphosa can say he thinks the United States jealous of him. Oh my Lord, the man is delusional. The man's delusional. Because I give him 5 years and the man's going to be probably dead or removed one way or other. He doesn't even realize what's going to happen. There's a massive rift in the ANC between him and Zuma and this guy Ace. I think I can't remember his last name, but they're all tweaking each other, trying to get in charge. It's all about money. This is a money-grabbing communist plot by these people. Now they're trying to take your guns. They're threatening you with don't defend yourselves. Defend yourselves. If they touch Steve Hoffman, he will become the next Mandela. They don't realize what they're doing. And we will make him the next Mandela if he goes to jail. So these people need to realize what they're saying. They are making the biggest mistake out. Fight
This
back.
comments, yes, this comment says, I just want to say that our lives are worth nothing. I'm sorry you feel that way, but your lives are worth everything. Your lives are worth everything, and they're worth defending. You have to defend yourself. You have to fight back. You have inalienable inherent rights as a human to defend yourself and your property. And any court, any international court will uphold those rights for you.
Yes, nobody. This is what them taking the land with no compensation is a human rights violation. Through no matter what they say, it's a human rights violation. Everybody's told them. Five nations have told them it's a human rights violation. They're gonna cross a line. Listen, the banks are starting to threaten them because you cannot throw people off their land and expect them to pay for it. They cannot generate money to pay it. Now, excuse me. They're making an economic disaster out of this whole thing. They are basically committing economical suicide.
We have another comment here from Miss Green again, and she's saying, please help them to get the women and children out. Now, we do have, I don't want to go too far afield here, but we are getting word of a country that is about to open their borders as soon as we have our finger on the pulse on that. When we have confirmation of that, which could be as soon as this week, we will be Craig will probably be doing a live broadcast with the people from that country that will give you the information on how to process it. We are watching something. We do have something in the pipeline that we have caught wind of that, there is a country about to open their doors to you and provide you with assets and resources to start over. We will bring that to you as soon as we have confirmation of it and can provide you with the details on how to act on it.
Mm-hmm.
Craig, we're taking up a lot of people's data, and we know how expensive it is. What else do you have for the people today before we leave?
No, I'm good. Just be safe out there. Fight back. Don't give in to any of them. What you don't realize is there is a lot of people out there that are ready. They are ready, and they are trained, and they are preparing, and they getting ready to, and if it goes down, there will be a big difference. What I'm saying to you and the average Joe in the street, don't become the victim. Don't just drive to your driveway and expect to go in. When you're driving around and somebody's following you, look behind you. When you go to the gas station, don't leave your cars open. Don't lock your car. Watch where you are. Make sure that you've got backup every time you go to get fuel now. There's all kinds of things that you have to think about. When you're at your house, leave traps outside that they're going to fall into. Simple alarm systems that with batteries in a bell or a piece of string across the road in your driveways that once they trip them up, the bell goes off. But don't let your domestics see them. You do it. Only when they leave. Don't let them find it, because they're going to find out what you're doing. Because it's not so much the domestics, it's they get threatened to tell them what's in the house, what's going on. And you never know. And you just never know. And trust nobody and nothing. When you're driving and you get followed, if that car keeps taking the corner with you, you know you're being targeted. Don't trust nothing. Don't walk alone. Take your kids to school. Take your kids home. Don't let them walk alone. Same, ladies, don't walk alone. Be careful. Always carry a weapon with you, even if it's a knife underneath your dress, on your leg, somewhere. Everybody carry a knife. Everybody carry a knife.
I'm putting up my my email address right there because many of you know I am working with Willie Ordon Jr. on this Project Survivor South Africa. The videos are coming in. Most of you want to do something. This is what you can do. You can send a video, a 2 or 3 minute video, tell your story. If you are absolutely incapable of making a video, then you write your story, you get it to us. We will have somebody else put it in video format for you and tell your story. But that is one way that you can get help and be a part of the solution. those of you that have survived attacks, and I'm going to go out a little bit farther. What we don't need is news stories. I don't need you flooding my emails with news stories or videos that are all over social media. I get thousands of those every day. Craig does too. So what I need is personal accounts of what it's like for you to live as a white in South Africa right now. Personal accounts, surviving the attack. This presentation that we will be given to the U.S. government will be in different sections. We want them to hear from you and experience your the fear that you face. So that's something you can do to help out. It's a wonderful project, and Willie is all over the place with that project, trying to get the word out. But this is Project Survivor South Africa. This is all on you. We are getting the videos out of South Africa so that we can protect the footage. They are being housed on a very secure device so that we can protect it on your behalf.
Yeah, here's another thing. On the 19th in Ottawa, in Canada, at 2 p.m., if you can be at the South African consulate at 2 p.m. in Canada for a vigil against the genocide of the South African whites and farmers, please be there. USAC will be represented. So will be the Survivor Group. So will be South African Crime Busters. So will be the Canadians Against Genocide. They will be there. Everybody will be there. I've invited Katie Hopkins and Laura Sutherland to come, and a few others to attend. There will be news media, and everybody's going to be there. So please, if you can attend, please attend. The more the merrier. If you know any media people, ask them to attend as well. It'll be 2 o'clock on the 19th of this month outside the South African consulate in Ottawa.
Yeah, this is a wonderful program that is put together by a team in Canada. So what we want you to see is that multiple nations and multiple groups have united together to start having rallies and protests on your behalf in other countries. And that always causes other people to hear about what's going on. It's a great way to spread the word quickly. Craig is working with some other countries to try to do the same thing, hold protests on behalf of South Africa. That's one of the ways that he is bringing the world one country at a time, one person at a time.
So, I don't take credit for anything. What I'm saying to you guys, my main purpose was to get the word out, get the world involved, and bring the world with me. And that was my message 2 years ago. I'm going to bring the world with me. Be careful what you've done. And I told Ramaphosa, I said, his irresponsible decision on land reform is going to create untold death and mayhem. And I was right. My words weren't cold and the place went to hell. So now you have a problem. We need to bring the world one person at a time, one country at a time. That's what we want. That's my message right from the beginning. I will bring the world with me. And you're going to make a mistake. And we're going to hold you for human rights violations and crimes against humanity. And that's why he's running scared now, because he's talking nonsense about the United States. That's like kicking the hand that feeds you.
Yes, it is Mark Dixon and Natalie and Maureen in Canada that have put this program together, and USAC is uniting with them on this program, but it is their program. We want them to get the credit for it. And again, it's not about credits, it's about the results, just getting the results done. We applaud everybody that is able to do something, and if more of the advocates would band together, more could be accomplished quickly. We are not.
Second time Mark Dixon's done this now. It's the second year in a row.
Good for Mark. I think you're going to have him on shortly, soon, and talk with him. And before the event, I believe you're rallying up to have him on.
Yes.
There's one more comment here that we're going to deal with, and then we're signing off today. Let's see. Oh, I can't find it again. It's been buried. But anyway, it's someone talking about, here it is. Sanctions won't hurt the ones it's intended to hurt. It will hurt us the most. You're right. Craig and I both agree. We are not calling for sanctions on South Africa. We think that would be the worst thing that could possibly happen to the country.
The only time I'll call for sanctions is when the government completely and utterly crosses this line, and there's no control, and the situation becomes uncontrollable, where the government's completely lost control, which is almost imminent. It's almost imminent. And if that is the case, then we have no choice but to deal with this serious way. Now, South Africa survived, but under a different ruler for almost 30 years. I don't think the ANC would last more than 2 if you go to sanctions. And yes, the whites will suffer. So will the blacks. But we don't want that. We need to try and do this peacefully before we have to do it the hard way.
So I think to sum things up today, we've talked about, well, we've been all around the world today. We've talked about North Korea. We've talked about Iran. We've talked about China. We've talked about South Africa. We've talked about things in the United States and our conditions here with the economy and the border control and illegal immigration. So we've talked about a lot of things, but it's good information for you to be able to use to make decisions that are right for you and your family and what you're doing. So we're going to sign off today, Craig.
Yes, thanks, guys. Be safe out there. And any historians that want to contact me, please, I can be contacted at hawk_Montgomery@AOL.com.
Let me see if I can get that up here real quick so that it's on the screen for people. There we go. All right. So historians, people with historical documents, people with knowledge of where those documents can be found or copied, it would be of great assistance because, you know, one of the ways that this thing could be solved is to prove, you know, that you really do have a right to the land. That's one of the things that that everybody's going to have to be taking a look at. And if other nations do get involved, they're going to have to be taking a look at these documents also. So
can you put it up again?
Telling everybody goodbye.
Can you put it up again? It didn't come up.
It's still, it is up there. I'm not sure that you can see it, but it's hawk_Montgomery@AOL.com. It is on the screen right now.
Okay. I'm not seeing it. All right.
Okay. It's on there. All right, everybody. Goodbye, South Africa. Goodbye to all our viewers, and we will talk again soon.
All right. Take care.